Well, good evening. Uh, Welcome and thanks for joining us this evening and talk about a project we call BR-23-C1. It's a project on three local streets just northwest of downtown here, on 6th Avenue North from 10th Street to Roberts, and on 7th Street from the railroad tracks up to 7th Avenue, and then again on 8th Street from 6th Avenue to 7th Avenue. So just a brief agenda, do some staff introduction, talk about the project, just location description, timing, phasing, some additional details about the project, and then talk about the cost and funding, and then how special assessments plays into that, and then an opportunity for questions. Staff introductions with the City of Fargo tonight, we have Rick Larson, he's the project manager. Doug Durgan with the Special Assessments Department. Myself, I'm Tom Knockmus, the Assistant City Engineer. So as I mentioned on that opening slide, here's the location. You can see in red those exact locations. So again, 6th Avenue from 10th to Roberts, on 7th Street from the railroad tracks up to 7th, and then on 8th Street from 6th to 7th Avenue. So what we'll be doing is we'll be doing a full roadway reconstruction, and what that'll include is new water main and services. The services go from the main to the curb stop valve, which is typically in the boulevard. Sanitary sewer main and services, which again, we bring those services from the main to the boulevard area behind the back of curb. We'll also be doing some storm sewer replacement with some new inlets and leads. Driveway approaches up to the sidewalk. The sidewalk throughout most of the project will get replaced. And we're trying to widen a lot of that from 4 to 4.5 feet up to 6 feet along that 6th Avenue corridor. New concrete pavement on the roadway. And then at 7th Street, just north of railroad tracks, we'll be looking to install a cul-de-sac there. It's currently a dead end, just helping with some of those turning movements and connectivity in that area. And then some tree plantings in some of the open areas. So we are set to bid this project on December 8th of this year. We don't know the start date at this time, but we would anticipate, typically a project like this is likely going to start in May of 23. And then our completion date is going to be late part of September of 2023. And then we'll get into phases, but multiple phases will need to run concurrently for the contractor to be able to finish this project on time. So here you can see how we have the phases broke down. Phase 1 is on the very west part of 6th Avenue. Contractor will have 30 days to complete that. And then moving east, the next phase will be phase 2. And that goes up to 7th Street on 6th Avenue and includes the work on 8th Street. The contractor will have 80 days to work on that. And then because of access, they will not be able to be concurrently working in phase 1 and phase 2 at the same time. And similar thing with phase 3 and phase 4. The contractor will not be able to work on those at the same time. So phase 3 is the portion of 7th Street and would include the cul-de-sac just north of the railroad tracks. And then phase 4 is the remaining part of 6th Avenue east of that, and the contractor would have 30 days for that. So just a few more details about the project. So we will maintain access throughout the corridor, at least on one side of the block at all times. We will have to run temporary water service lines, and I'll show you an image of what that looks like, but that's a way that will maintain water throughout the project duration. Some instances, property owners request driveways to be widened as part of our project. If it complies with city ordinance, that's something we can do. If you have those requests, please work with Rick Larson, our project manager. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we will be installing some new trees along the corridor, some replacements and some in new locations. And then as part of the project, we'll also regrade and seed the boulevards. And we just like to remind property owners that once the boulevards are established to about 70%, it does become the property owner's responsibility to maintain and continue to grow that grass from that point forward. So as I mentioned previously, this is just an example of what those water lines look like. So we have that yellow 1.5-inch, 2-inch main running along the sidewalk, and then services going up to the houses to maintain that water throughout the project. Our current estimated cost of construction is about $3,273,000. There are some fees and contingencies that do get added to that: engineering, admin, legal, interest. and then 5% contingency. So all in all, the project cost is about $4,144,000. And then here's the breakdown of how that's funded. So you can see there's a number of different utility fees that contribute to the cost of the project. So storm sewer, street light, wastewater, and water. And then we have sales tax, and then about 29% of the total project cost gets special assessed. So here's how that the funding gets, or how the allocation of special assessments gets broken down. So the amount being special assessed for water main is capped at $63.37 a front foot. For sanitary sewer, it's the same. Storm sewer by policy, 50% of the cost gets special assessed. There are no special assessments related directly to streetlights. And then the street reconstruction is based on the front footage and then also the zoning use. So you can see here a single family resident would pay $90.20, where a DMU property would pay $371.42 a front foot. And with that, that's all we have for a presentation. Here's the contact information. We're happy to answer any questions anyone has.